so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting, especially since they're helping to fund all the cool projects we have in the works, such as the Positive Head app, the docuseries that I'm intending to begin shooting within the next year, and whatever else we dream up over here at Positive Headquarters to help spread consciousness across the planet. Now, if you're short on time or just super excited for today's topic and want to dive right in and skip these ads, feel free to fast forward about
4 minutes
to get right into today's show. That being said, I strongly encourage you to listen because the reason I'm passionate about my sponsors is because they've made a huge impact in my own life, which is why I've aligned with these organizations. And I firmly believe they can do the same for you too. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. The second sponsor I'm extremely passionate about promoting is Purium. It's no mystery that bringing your mind, body, and spirit into balance is necessary if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and greatest version of themselves. And as of recording this, it's been about 4 months since I started taking the Purium Core 4 superfood products every day. And I can honestly and sincerely say my mind, body, and spirit have never felt more in alignment. If you've been looking for a way to easily get superfoods into your system every day with a simple plan that can help you reestablish a healthier foundation and relationship with food, I cannot recommend for you to start with the Purium 40-Day Ultimate Nutrition Plan, which includes a 10-day metabolic reset and cleanse enough. I spent personally months researching Purium before I jumped in, and now myself and over 150 other positive heads have started with the 40-Day Ultimate Nutrition Plan, and many of us have continued taking the Core 4 products on an ongoing basis daily ever since. I personally intend to take them for the rest of my life because they played a huge role transforming my vibrational state. If you decide to do it, it'll cost you just over $7 a day for the first 40 days and only about $5 a day after. But if you do it the way that I recommend you to do it, the smartest and most beneficial way, it won't cost you anything. I recommend you to just look at where you can reallocate money you are already spending on food each day. Essentially, you're just going to swap out the unhealthiest stuff you're in the habit of purchasing in exchange for Purium superfoods. And this way, it costs you nothing to participate in the transformation and cleanse. And it creates exponential benefit because now you've replaced something that lowers your vibration with something that is going to make you feel super high in the healthiest kind of way. Just take a few minutes, see where you can cut out $5 to $7 a day and commit to doing it. It's that simple. Also, for support, we'll be doing a big group transformation with other positive heads and soul family once each month for support. So I recommend, going right now, ordering your 40-day Ultimate Nutrition Plan bundle so that you have it when the next group transformation starts. Procrastination is not your friend. Order it now. You can thank me later, because I can assure you, you will not be sorry you've decided to send a message to the universe that you're ready to step up your vibrational game and reclaim your health sovereignty. Just head over to ishoppurium.com. That's spelled ISHOPPURIUM.com. Be sure to use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for either $50 off or a 25% discount, whichever is greater. And also, if you want to learn more details about the Purium products, why I'm so passionate about promoting them beforehand, you can go check out several videos I shot discussing these things in greater detail. You can also hear my interview with the very inspiring founder, David Sandoval. Much, much more over at positivehead.com/transformation. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we grow again. So happy to be with you as always. Hope you had a terrific Samhain Halloween last night. For those of you who are tuning in the day after Halloween, it's November 1st here as I record. If you're tuning into this in, I don't know, December, hope your Halloween was good months ago. Mine was good. I had fun. I got to be the Disco Night King. And for those of you who are nerds like me and like Game of Thrones, the Night King is like the head White Walker. Well, I happen to have a very 70s looking sort of, I guess, according to my mother, it's an outfit that people wore for weddings in the 70s. She's like, oh, someone definitely wore this in the 70s in a wedding, like these ruffled shirts and like this really like shimmery baby blue jacket. Everything was baby blue. And of course, the Night King's face was kind of baby blue, icy. So I wasn't the Night King. I was the Disco Night King. And it was fun. I just basically hid on the side of my sister's house and scared little kids. Pretty fun. I try to not scare the really little ones, just the bigger kids. But yeah, I made a couple cry. I felt bad about that. Sorry about that soul contract kid. I would take my mask off real quick and show them I'm not scary, though, so it didn't permanently traumatize them. All right, today I'm going to talk about the concept of you are what you love, not what loves you. And before I dive into that whole idea, that whole pondering, before we meander down that road, I would like to take a moment and read a review on iTunes. You guys know I love my iTunes reviews. They not only help us to reach new people, but they also help to fuel my fire to continue this labor of love. So if you haven't reviewed on iTunes, would definitely appreciate it if you did. And this one came in by Melissa Serendipitous. Synchronicity Party. Hello, Brandon. My name is Melissa Craddock, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay, well, I'll stop right there with a little synchronicity. I was talking about hiding on the side of my sister's house, scaring kids a moment ago. And my sister's name is Melissa. And I went to college in Nashville. So, how you like that? All right, here we go. I've listened to your podcast for a few years now after my sister Colleen introduced me to your show. The past few months have seen a huge explosion in my curiosity to understand the ultimate nature of reality, and this podcast has been a huge tool in my growth and learning. I have twin toddlers who keep me on my toes all day, but every morning we go for a walk outside, and while they are enjoying... Okay, hold on. Another synchronicity. I'm going to share a clip that is a scene of two twins, and that intro, what I just told you, you are what you love, not what loves you. That's actually that's a clip from the movie Adaptation I'm going to share here in a minute, which is two twins talking. It's actually Nicolas Cage talking to himself as a twin, but... yeah, very cool. I don't look at these reviews before I read them. I just see whichever one's queued up next. So the synchronicity party is continuing. All right. I have twin toddlers who keep me on my toes all day, but every morning we go for a walk outside, and while they're enjoying their walk, I get to enjoy your show. I often take notes during the episodes and will go back to research the topics more of what you and your guests discuss. I am a Leo, and we love to talk, but for years I would pray that I would learn to truly listen. Still working on that, but I definitely feel like your shows make it so much easier for me to listen and hear what I need to hear from the universe. A few weeks ago, I was listening to an episode and you read a review from Teresa B. from here in Nashville, and I immediately recognized that she was someone I knew and share mutual friends with. Oh, how cool. Teresa wrote that you had talked about just going with the flow and learning to dance in the rain, and that it was very synchronistic since it had rained here for an entire week, and she had a festival plan that ended up having to be canceled because of the rain. After I heard you read her review, I messaged her telling her I had heard it and that it was a sign from the universe that we needed to hang out. We ended up co-hosting a bonfire at her house. Our original plan was for it to be this past Friday on October 19th, but just days before the forecast was calling for a 100% chance of rain. Well, we went with the flow and pushed it to the following Saturday night, and what do you know, it was the most beautiful fall evening. The sun had come out that day and everything was dry. We had the perfect setting to a lovely evening with friends and kiddos and pups gathered around a fire. All of it was because I heard you read her review that was filled with synchronicities at the beginning of your podcast that was also discussing synchronicities, thus our perfect alignment to hold the perfect evening. The first annual synchronicity party. Thank you Brandon, for all you do in your labor of love. P.S. I could go on and on with the synchronicities I observed from your shows, and it continues my hypothesis that the more you look for them, the more they are out there as little guideposts showing the beautiful interwoven connection between all things in the universe. Oh, how beautiful, Melissa. Look at that. I mean, we had all the synchronicity right off the bat, like before I even got into the heart of what you're talking about here. So yes, it is. It just, the more we look, the more they're there because we're creating everything, these beautiful interwoven connections. Very, very well said. Thank you. And I want to come to a synchronicity party one day. Perhaps I will manifest being in Nashville. I haven't been to Nashville in a long time. Since college, but love the town, and perhaps, actually thinking back now, my roommate in Nashville, when you were talking about the bonfire, it made me think of, I lived at one point in a house with 6 guys in a 6-bedroom house in Nashville, in college. And it was, great memories. Some of the first times I started experimenting with, psychedelics and whatnot a lot. My awakening happened when I lived in that house, and we used to do bonfires on the side of the house. And so instantly that popped in my head. And now what just pops in my head is Ryan, who was my roommate, my brother Ryan, and also another Ryan was my roommate. And the other Ryan's girlfriend was Melissa. So yeah, it goes on and on and on and on and on. All right. And I always find all the little hidden gems of synchronicity. So yeah, it's magical. It's true. All right. So let's jump into today's topic, shall we? So what prompted today's topic? I actually made contact with my former partner from a couple years ago, my most recent, committed relationship, I suppose you would say. And I made contact with her over something that was somber, and a mutual friend recently passed. And I just learned that this friend passed. And so I reached out to my ex and said, hey, did you hear, about our friend? And she said, yes, I did. I'm heartbroken. And, I kind of went on to just, kind of do what I do. Life is but a vapor, and told her that I loved her. And, it's been a little, there's definitely been some, barriers there that I would prefer come down between me and my former partner. But understandably so. I totally get it. And, but yeah, so, I kind of said that, and then she responded back, thank you for caring. And, if anything, our mutual friend's passing has done is to help us all to have a more open heart. And, of course, that is the most powerful thing that we can do. You guys have heard me talking about, how important it is. I've talked a lot about the book, The Untethered Soul, by Michael Singer, one of the few the two books by Michael Singer are really the only things that I've read in recent years that I've made time for, having so much on my plate. But yeah, I went into a little bit of the conversation, how the untethered soul, which I highly recommend, by the way, if you haven't heard me talk about that. It basically says, look, the most important thing you can do is always have your heart open, because it is an energetic valve, the same way it's a physical valve. And when you have your heart open, if your number one objective is to always have your heart open, then you become a fountain. That source energy flows through. And whenever you close your heart, you're cutting yourself off from that energy, right? Universal energy, source energy, higher self, whatever you want to call it. So, it just got me thinking about this idea of loving someone, or, putting putting out there like, hey, I love you to her in a way that's like, risking rejection even, right? And I thought about this idea of rejection and how often it got me thinking about that, and how often we need to be willing to have our heart broken and risking rejection. And that's hard for a lot of us. And if you can, start understanding why it's so important, I think it makes it easier. This idea that it is the number one thing that we're here to do is, if we really want to have the most profound, beautiful, love-filled experiences, be love, right? No matter what. It's you're not what you love. You are what you love, not what loves you, right? You are being loved no matter what someone else is feeling, or if they feel it in return or don't. You're just exuding it. Lao Tzu said, surrender your self-interest. Love others as much as you love yourself. Then you can be entrusted with all things under heaven. And that makes so much sense. Like, if you can just be love, it's the same thing that the untethered soul is really pointing to, right? This, if you can just be loving no matter what, then you're entrusted with all things under heaven. Well, for one, you've got, unlimited source energy flowing through you now. Well, when unlimited source energy is flowing through you, what happens? It spills over. Well, what does it spill over into? Your life. Well, then what does your life become? A reflection of that energy, right? Rumi said, I love myself. I love you. I love you. I love myself. And when you have this, take it a step further and understand this idea that everyone is an extension of you, no matter what. And you can bring that to the table instead of, oh, well, I said this and they didn't say it back, or I did this thing and now they're behaving in this way, or they acted like they liked me when on the first date and then all of a sudden they shut me down and are not being nice to me anymore. That's really easy to get into that, especially where rejection feels like it's coming into play. Getting into that place of closing your heart. That's, if you see them and the opportunity, the prop that everyone is in your movie as an opportunity not to close your heart. I had that experience recently too, where there's a romantic moment with someone, and then the person just kind of shut down afterwards. And it's like, it's so easy for me to then shut down in return. And instead it's like, I just have nothing but love and care and wish you well, right? Not screw you, you owe me this or that, or expectation or any of that. It's just silly, because everyone is where they're at in their own journey and dealing with their own thing. And it's beautiful to just this idea of being love. One of my favorite quotes by Osho is, love should be like breathing. It should be just like a quality in you. Wherever you are, with whomsoever you are, or even if you are alone, love goes on overflowing from you. It is not a question of being in love with someone. It is a question of being love. And that is just like such a powerful turning point for us all, when you realize that you are it and it is you, and your only aim is to bring it to every single situation. This quote, or this clip rather, from Adaptation, that film 2002, Nicolas Cage, I think Meryl Streep was in it as well. Haven't seen it in a long time. Makes me want to go back and watch it, because it bubbled up for me obviously today. And I want to play it. It's a short clip. And let's take a listen here to You Are What You Love, Not What Loves You.
I admire you, Donald, I spent my whole life paralyzed, worrying about what people think of me. And you're just oblivious.
I'm not oblivious.
No, you don't understand. I mean that as a compliment. It was this time in high school. I was watching you at the library window. You were talking to Sarah Marsh. Oh, God, I was so in love with her. I know. And you were flirting with her. And she was being really sweet to you. I remember that. And then, when you walked away, she started making fun of you with Kim Kennedy. And it was like they were laughing at me. You didn't know it all? You seemed so happy. I knew. I heard them. Well, how come you were so happy? I love Sarah, Charles. It was mine. That love. I owned it. Even Sarah didn't have the right to take it away. I can love whoever I want. She thought you were pathetic. That was her business, not mine. You are what you love, not what loves you. That's what I decided a long time ago.
All right, you can wipe the tears out of your eyes. Yeah, I know you just got something in your eye, right? That's like the sweetest scene. I love it. I haven't seen it or heard it since all the years ago when I watched that movie, so now I'm going to go back and watch it. Yeah, you are what you love, not what loves you. I'm going to just jump right into a bit longer clip, a little less story, more philosophy by the one and only Alan Watts. I found this on the Spiritual Library YouTube page. You will destroy yourself if you don't love yourself. Let's take a listen to this.
You see, the difficulty of it is this. You cannot teach a selfish person to be unselfish by any means. That is to say, whatever a selfish person does, whether it be giving his body to be burned or giving all that he possesses to the poor, he will still do it in a selfish way of feeling. And he will be able to do this with extreme cunning, a marvelous self-deception, and deception of others besides. But the consequences of fake love are almost invariably destructive, because they build up resentment on the part of the person who does the fake loving, as well as on the part of those who are its recipients. This is why the foreign aid program has been such a dismal failure. Now, of course, you may say that I'm talking in a very impractical way, because you would say, well, do we just have to sit around and wait until we become inwardly converted and learn through the grace of God or some sort of magic how to love, and in the meantime do nothing about it and conduct ourselves as selfishly as we feel? There is, as a matter of fact, something to be said for that. Because the first problem in the whole of this is honesty. And the reason why the Lord God says at the beginning of things, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind, is not because the Lord God is stupid, but because he's very clever. That which appears to be a commandment is actually a challenge, or what in Zen Buddhism would be called a koan, a spiritual problem. Because if you exercise yourself resolutely in trying to love God and or your neighbor, you will find that you get more and more tangled up. You will realize increasingly that the reason why you are attempting to obey this as a commandment is that you want to be the right kind of person. And obviously you want to be the right kind of person for your own reasons. And so if you do, in the first place, feel selfish and come to the conclusion, as a result of trying various experiments with love, that you love yourself more than anybody else, the proper thing to do is to investigate your self-love, to find out why you love yourself and what you mean by yourself when you say you love yourself. For the reason is this: love is not something that is a sort of rare commodity. Everybody has it. Existence is love. But it's like water flowing through a hose. It depends in which direction you point it. So everybody has the force running. And maybe the way in which you find the force of love operating in you is that you have a passionate like of booze, or ice cream, or automobiles, or good-looking members of the opposite sex, or even the same sex. But there is love operating. And people, of course, tend to distinguish between the various kinds of love. There are good kinds, such as divine charity, and allegedly bad kinds, such as, in quotes, animal lust. But it should be understood, I think, that they are all forms of the same thing. But they differ in rather the same way that the colors of light, of white light, divide into the spectrum when passed through a prism. So we might say that the red end of the spectrum of love is Dr. Freud's libido. And the violet end of the spectrum of love is agape, what is called divine love or divine charity. And that in the middle, the various yellows, blues and greens are friendship, human endearment, consideration, and all that sort of fellow feeling. But it's all the same thing. And so, the thing is, first of all, to get it moving. To follow whatever kind of love you have in the first place. Because you cannot control love until you have some to control. Until you have it running. You've got to get your car running before you can learn how to drive it. You will not become a skillful driver by sitting at a still car in a garage any more than you will become a skilled dancer if you simply never move your arms and legs. And so, the first thing then is to discover what indeed you do love, if anything. And you will find there is something. And then go into the nature of that. Now, it's said that selfish people love themselves. I would say that that is really a misunderstanding of the whole thing, because yourself is something that is really impossible to love. There are various reasons for this, but one obvious reason is that loving oneself is as difficult as kissing your own lips. Oneself, when you try to focus on it, to love it or to know it, is oddly elusive. It always slips away like the pursued tail of a dog who is trying to get hold of his own tail. So to pursue your own end has some difficulties about it. If you explore what you love when you say you love yourself, you will make the startling discovery that everything you love is something which you thought was other than yourself. Even if it be very ordinary things such as ice cream or booze, in the conventional sense, booze is not you, nor is ice cream. It turns into you in a manner of speaking when you consume it, but then you don't have it anymore. And so you look around for more in order to love it once again. But so long as you love it, you see, it's never you. When you love people, even however selfishly you love them, because of the pleasant sensations they give to you, still, it is somebody else that you love. And as you inquire into this, as you follow honestly your own selfishness, many interesting transformations begin to come about in you. One of the most interesting transformations of being directly and honestly selfish, in the same way that, for example, cats are, is that you stop deceiving people. A great deal of damage is done in practical human relations by saying that you love people, when what you mean is that you ought to. And you don't really. You give the wrong impression, and people begin to expect things of you which you are never going to come through with. We have been taught, for example, that we ought to love our enemies. Now, we don't really understand what it means to love our enemies. We think it means to be charitable towards them in the hope that we will convert them, and so that they will cease to be our enemies. The real reason for loving enemies is that one needs enemies. They're terribly important to you. For example, I think that some of you here feel that you belong to a nice set of people. It may be an ordinary kind of bourgeois coterie of pleasant squares, or it may be a church group of some kind, a club, or a special cult, or just a group of friendly drinkers. But at any rate, you feel that by virtue of membership in this society, you belong to a special in-group of nice or saved people. Now, when you consider what nice people talk about when they sit round the dinner table and have an opportunity to nurture their collective ego, you will find that the most fascinating topic of conversation is the nasty people. How awful they are, what dreadful things they do, and what is it all coming to. And this very, very satisfactory condemnatory conversation nurtures your ego. But people who do that don't seem to realize that they thereby depend on the nasty people in order to know that they're nice. They are, as a matter of fact, highly indebted to them. On the other side of the picture, the nasty people, they, on their side, consider that they really are the best people, and nurture their collective ego by blasting the bourgeoisie, the squares, the wasps, the know-nothings, or whoever they may be. And so, for the collective ego of the non-squares, the squares are extremely necessary. If they were to disappear tomorrow, many of us would lose a cause. Now, the minute you begin to become aware of this, it's rather embarrassing. It's, of course, humorous, and I'm glad that you see this. Because at once you begin to realize how much you depend on an enemy, or an outsider, or a group of damned people as distinct from your own group of saved people. And so you begin to realize that if your collective ego, or yourself, depends on your being on the in, but you can only be on the in with relation to something that is out. And since the in and the out are inseparable, if there is to be any in or any out, you suddenly discover that yourself is bigger than you thought it was. It includes the other, and you can't do without it. This brings about a fundamental change in the understanding of the meaning and nature of self. And thereupon, there become a change of attitude to other people, even if you continue with some formal opposition to them and disapproval of them. When, then, you are honestly clear with yourself what you like and what you dislike, and then at the same time yourself begins more and more to include things that were hitherto defined as being not yourself, your love, which is what you are, begins to express itself quite naturally and unaffectedly in a wider way. Now, to trust oneself to be capable of love, to bring up love, in other words, to function in a sociable way and in a creative way, is to take a risk. It's a gamble. Because you may not come through with it. And in the same way, when you fall in love with somebody else, or you form an association with somebody else, and you trust them, they may, as a matter of fact, not fulfill your expectations. But that risk has to be taken. The alternative to taking that risk is much worse than trusting and being deceived. In other words, to live together, you have to take risks. There will be disappointments and failures and disasters as a result of taking these risks, but in the long run it will work out. My point is that if you don't take them, the results will be so much worse than any kind of wild anarchy that could be conceived. You see, here we are now as a highly disciplined human race, with all kinds of rules and religions, and what are we about to do? Blow ourselves completely to pieces. Was this all a good gamble? Because you see, in tying up love in knots and becoming incapable of it, you can't destroy this energy. You turn it, when you won't love and you won't let it out, the thing comes out in the form of self-destruction. The alternative to self-love, in other words, is self-destruction. Because you won't take the risk of loving yourself properly, you will be compelled instead to destroy yourself. Because you see, in tying up love in knots and becoming incapable of it, you can't destroy this energy. You turn it, when you won't love and you won't let it out, the thing comes out in the form of self-destruction. The alternative to self-love, in other words, is self-destruction. Because you won't take the risk of loving yourself properly, you will be compelled instead to destroy yourself. So, which would you rather have? Would you rather have a human race which isn't always very well controlled and sometimes runs amok a little bit, but on the whole continues to exist with a good deal of honesty and delight when delight is available? Or would you rather have the whole human race blown to pieces and cleaned off the planet, reducing the whole thing to a nice scoured rock with no dirty disease on it called life? But I repeat the point that is necessary to understand this whole thing, that love is a spectrum. There is not, as it were, nice love and nasty love, spiritual love and material love, mature affection on the one hand and infatuation on the other. These are all forms of the same energy. And you have to take it and let it grow where you find it. If you find that only one of these forms exists in you, if at least you will water it, the rest of the plant will blossom as well. But the essential prerequisite from the beginning is to let it have its way.
He starts right out talking about what is the intention going in? Where's this all coming from? Fake love creates resentment for both parties. And then, of course, goes into this idea that love is a spectrum. You know, he compares like the sexual love, the red spectrum, and, you know, almost compares it to the chakras, right? Middle, like friendship, violet, agape, divine love. You know, these are all, everything is just temperatures, right? Hot, cold, it's all the same. Hate, love, it's all temperatures, spectrums of the same energy, divine source energy. And then I really love how he goes into this idea of loving oneself is as difficult as kissing one's lips or pursuing one's tail, a dog pursuing its tail. Everything you love, if you notice, is something other than yourself, but apparently yourself, because really there are no others, so it's all you. And that's the thing. So you take that whole lesson, that idea right there, and apply it to someone or something that's quote unquote outside of yourself. And then you realize, like, oh, I'm loving me when I'm loving them, because there are no others, right? You know, he gives the idea, the analogy, ice cream becomes you, and then you don't love it anymore. You're looking for more ice cream. He talks about, you know, going into the concept that I've talked about many times before on the show. The real reason for loving enemies is because you need them. You know, you talked about the most fascinating people are the nasty people. How much you enjoy enjoy like exploring. That's why reality television and like some of the most cringeworthy stuff is so popular, because it's like, oh my gosh, it's like watching a train wreck, right? You depend on the enemy. You know, someone needs to play that role, or not necessarily the enemy, but you know, that which you are not. You can only be which, you know, on the end if there is an out, he said. And when you start really grounding this truth in, they're really not living in this very narrow bandwidth of understanding about the ultimate nature of reality and what's going on here, you start really expanding to understand that you need those people out there, the shallow people, so that you can have the experience of being more heart-centered and deep, if you will. You know, you need the contrast. This makes you realize that you are bigger than you think. And that shallow person outside of yourself is really just you playing a role for you, so you can have the experience that you are having from the vantage point and perspective in which you are viewing reality as the avatar that you currently are playing the role of. This creates a fundamental change relating to the idea of self. This allows love to express itself, he said, in a wider way. And you gotta be willing to risk it all for love. And I love how he said it. It's like, you gotta be willing to be hurt over and over 1,000 times. You know, smash my heart if that's what it takes, because it's worth it. It's worth it. The magical Bob Marley said, the truth is everyone is going to hurt you. You just got to find the ones worth suffering for. And really, you know, I want to expand on that though. Suffering is based off perspective. And then when you understand like, I want to feel this hurt. Think about it. Think about when you felt sorry for yourself at times or whatever. There's a part of you that really gets gratification from it, right? So you want to experience all these different aspects of it. So when you can kind of see, okay, I'm just sort of getting this result so that I can have the contrast, you get a healthy sense of detachment from it, where you can still experience maybe the hurt, but not in a way that's so personal. When you realize, like Don Miguel Ruiz is, you know, second agreement, I think it is, nothing is personal. Then it sort of takes the sting out of it to some degree. And you know what Alan Watts said here is, if you're not willing to risk it all for love, and what happens is a lot of times people get hurt and then they shut their heart down and they're not willing to be hurt again. I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to put my walls up. I'm fearful of getting something bad happening to me, so I'm going to sit in my room all day, every day, right? Well, that alternative is so much worse than the hurt that actually hurt's good when you experience it from the right perspective of understanding that it's happening for you, not to you, and it's happening through you. Then you can embrace it. Then you can transcend it. The alternative to self-love, he said, is self-destruction. And, you know, just let it have its way. It's a spectrum. It's going to grow, water it wherever it is, and the rest of the plant will blossom. I love how he said that. Just let it have its way. Let it flow. Let it unfold however it will. It's where I'm at in my own journey. I don't need it to show up in any particular way. I didn't need my former partner to reciprocate, maybe as I would have really expected or needed in past years or what have you. It's like, it's just overflowing from me. I'm just speaking my truth. I love you. Yeah. Whatever that means to you, it's just my truth, and living your truth, unabashedly, without fear, willing to be rejected or not reciprocated. That's courage. That's like the real deal. And I'm proud that I'm there or have been there. Maybe I'll have moments in the future where I'm not, and that'll be okay too. Because that really is what this dance is. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We're constantly, walking on a spiral. We're journeying through eternity on a spiral, experiencing things in deeper and deeper layers of transforming these blockages that we've dealt with for eons, lifetimes. And, it's layers of an onion in a sense. And sometimes we think we've gotten through something, and then it pops its head up again. It's like, hold on, I thought I already did the work on that. And then the most important thing is to understand that's okay. You don't beat yourself up for it. Do the work some more. Do the work some more. Do the work some more. You got this. We got this. We are rising in love. Ultimately, we cannot lose this game. And I couldn't be more ecstatic to journey down the path with each and every one of you. This is my friend, the lovely Fia, just driving it home here with her song Rising in Love. Hoping to have her actually stop by the studio and do an acoustic song for you guys in the coming months. We talked about that a while back. But then she went to Europe to record her new album. And it makes me think I need to reach back out and see about having a conversation and then a live and direct song. In the meantime, here's a beautiful recording, Rising in Love by Fia. Till next time, journey well. Love you all so, so much. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.
Every inch of my body, each fiber and cell is vibrating with desire, high on life itself. I'm consciously making space, opening and allowing. I'm doing the work that's needed. I'm ready, bring it in. 'Cause I know that I am worthy of it all. The wonders and the magic, all I'm dreaming of. And this is the new way, a new way of living. A world waking up, we are rising in love. Breathing deep, I feel God within and around me. The true light of my being is there for me to see. All is becoming clear. The veil is oh so thin. Everything is changing, but I'm ready, bring it in. 'Cause I know that I am worthy of it all. The wonders and the magic, all I'm dreaming of. And this is the new way, a new way of living. A world waking up, we are rising in love. I know that I am worthy of it all. The wonders and the magic, all I'm dreaming of. And this is the new way, a new way of living. A world waking up, we are rising in love. And now I remember why I am here. Got nothing to lose, all is to gain. And I choose to learn from love instead of pain. I know that I am worthy of it all. The wonders and the magic, all I'm dreaming of. And this is the new way, a new way of living. A world waking up, we are rising in love. I know that I am worthy of it all. The wonders and the magic, all I'm dreaming of. And this is the new way, a new way of living. A world waking up, we are rising in love. I know that I am worthy of it all. The wonders and the magic, all I'm dreaming of. And this is the new way, a new way of living. A world waking up, we are rising in love. I know that I am worthy of it all. The wonders and the magic, all I'm dreaming of. And this is the new way, a new way of living. A world waking up,